for bedtime.
Yeah, you can see him.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, they're about to have a meeting, Trail, so we're gonna let them have their meeting.
Randy, you'll be here though for when we try to work on that motion.
Yeah, that's
wording.
my expectation that I should be back in like 30 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes.
Perfect.
Phone novel. I'm not finding that chair. Okay.
We're gonna start in a second, folks. Hey, Mitz, to go to like the Brady Bunch share, do you know how to do that? Or
Yeah, you can click on view in the upper right-hand corner and go to gallery.
okay, yeah, that's where I forgot where that was. Thank you, buddy. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start. The time is now 6:01, and I'm gonna do a quick roll call of the committee. Mark Anthony, I know, is not here. I'm here. Adam Summer. Adam, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Rita Funk,
I'm here.
Mitz
Here.
Yamaha. Okay. And then Randy is here as well. I know he's I don't know if his screen is on, but Randy will be right back with us. Okay. So thanks for joining. This is our November Homelessness Committee meeting. And let's see. Okay, so we have a quorum established, and I just wanted to say, with regard to the upcoming public comment, it's going to be non-agenda items. You'll have 2 minutes to talk. I know one major thing that we're dealing with right now with our city is this code enforcement that makes it illegal for an unhoused person to pitch a tent. That's a big thing right now. So if that's something I know a lot of people it's on your mind, that might be a great non-agenda item thing to talk about. Okay, so just go ahead and let's see here. Put your hands here. If you would like to speak, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and start the public comment. I see Scott Mandel. Go ahead, buddy.
Hi, everybody. Scott Mandel here. Being this is non-agenda items, I'll be back for number 6. But for this, at the last meeting, you mentioned a possible homeless outreach function of this committee and of the council. And I would be up for something like that, where we can maybe explain or teach the people living in the encampments, perhaps how to clean up after themselves, how to used trash bags and maybe get the city to come and regularly pick those up. I'd also like to propose, and I mentioned this before, that we, and I say we because I'm more than willing to help, perform a homeless count of Studio City. I'd like to count all the homeless people. I'd like to document where the encampments are, photograph them, so we can have a handle on what exactly is we're dealing with. There's been some numbers floating around, but I haven't heard anybody really come up with a definitive or even an estimate. We did hear that 150 people, possibly from inside Studio City, went to Room Key. I didn't know we even had that many. So I think it would be good if we meaning I will help, all the homeless encampments in Studio City, where they are and how many people are living there. And that's really all I got for now. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd like to comment on that.
Who's talking right now? Is that?
This is Andrew Silver.
Go ahead, Andrew. You have 2 minutes.
There is currently outreach taking place in Studio City as a function of NoHo Home Alliance. We have trained outreach leaders. We have multiple teams operating. We have training videos, and it would be inappropriate for untrained people to go out into the field and work contrary to and without coordination of the trained people who are currently doing that work. We work closely with LA Family Housing outreach workers. We have access to medical teams and other resources for the homeless when we contact them on the street. And for you to go out there without proper connections and training would be inappropriate.
Thank you.
And as far as the count issue, there is a count. You should be aware of the count of from the LA Family Housing that did a really good count. I participated in the count. There was a really good count done in January 2020. And that information is all available online in great detail.
Okay, so Andrew, you have about 30 seconds. Are you done talking, or did you want to yield your time?
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Okay, next stakeholder, if you go ahead and raise your hand. Anyone else would like to talk? If not, we can just keep moving through the agenda here. I also wanted to say that we did move this meeting an hour or so earlier because at 7 o'clock, the assembly member is going to be speaking with the Studio City Residents Association. So I'm a member of that. I know a lot of you guys are. So, time permitting, if we do have time, we can jump into that meeting. I think it's possible. So that's at 7 o'clock, Studio City Residents Association. He's going to be talking primarily about homelessness and how he's been attacking that issue. And I think with regard to the assembly member, I think sometimes we give certain politicians, I don't want to say a pass, but there's more people involved with the monies that flow to our city other than our council member. So, the assembly member has, that's a venue as well. So anyway, I hope you guys can join. So moving on to item number, is there any more public comment? No? Okay, I'll move on to item number 3 is the chair report. And if there are no objections, we'll go ahead and file the minutes for the last meeting from October 13th. And with regard to the homelessness count, I know that was brought up just recently right now. From the data that I saw, Studio City's increased 100%. So it went from about 100 to 200. So that's based on lots of statistics. I know there's lots of statistics out there. There's lots of ways to count. When you're dealing with a tent or an encampment, a tent is considered 1.7 people roughly. So that's the data that I'm using. I don't know if if more exist out there. tonight we're special guests here. We have from LA Family Housing, Chris Freed and Ben Besley they're both from Project Room Key. They're going to talk shortly. And in addition to our efforts, we have an augmented team right now of there's 5 of us that have been going out every week for the past 4 weeks. We've been making contact. We've been super safe. We have a contact person, a person that does safety. And so Rita, I wanted to introduce, Rita Funk is our newest member. She's a clinical social worker. Welcome aboard, Rita. And then she'll get a chance to introduce herself. Well, actually, Rita, if you'd like to go ahead and do that now, we're time if you want to go ahead and do that.
Sure. So I have lived in the Studio City area for 25 years now. I too have seen the problem, or I don't want to call it a problem, but the increase in homelessness to several reasons. I'm currently working in drug and alcohol treatment, and the majority of the people I work with were homeless before coming to get treatment with us. So I think I bring a special little extra knowledge about mental health and substance use with our homeless. And so I think that's about it.
Thank you. And one other new member I wanted to introduce. We have a super talented team, you guys. So Mitz, I wanted, if you could just talk briefly about yourself. Mitz works at UCLA and he works in technology. So you guys know I'm a kind of a data geek. So the numbers data aspect of what we're doing is super important. So Mitz, go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Hi, thank you very much. Hi, my name is Mitz Yamahata, and I'm the IT director at UCLA within the Luskin School of Public Affairs. I'm also an active member with PTA for my local elementary school. And really, I'm here to, dedicate myself and my time to improving our neighborhood, particularly under issues faced by the unhoused. I am a resident for a little over 10 years now, but I've been born and raised. La Brea Tar Pits is my stomping ground. So, this neighborhood in this area is definitely my neighborhood as well too. So, but yeah, I'm an IT geek as well too. So hopefully can help out where needed, and definitely, have a concern with our neighborhood and want to help out.
Thank you, Mitz. So I've been talking with several officials, one being Jessica Fugate, I think that's how I say it, but she was informing me, I've talked to her several times over the last few weeks. As it was mentioned earlier, we do have contact teams or care teams. There's, from what my knowledge of this, there's 2 teams assigned to CD2, so 2 for Studio City, but she told me that 1 team contracted COVID, so there's actually 1 team. And to me, they're under, they don't get enough recognition, because as you go out and about, and I know we all know where the major encampments are, you will actually see people being housed. You'll see them compassionately helping people, getting them drug treatment, things like that. But it tends to go unnoticed. So I just want to say that on their behalf, that they are out there as well. And then lastly, well, 2 things. Project Room Key is demobilizing. I believe it's as of January. Chris and Ben can speak on that. But the last thing I did want to say was that November 24th, the city is voting on this legislation to make camping, pitching a tent on a sidewalk illegal. And if the person's offered housing and they refuse it, then they are moved. So it has multifacets to it. I was on the meeting with City Hall, I believe it was 2 weeks ago on 28th, and it was literally a 4-hour meeting just for that. So they decided to table it and to vote on it on November 24th. And so that's coming up, and in 2 weeks rather. So I think as a neighborhood, as a community, I think that it's important to contact our elected official, Krikorian, and let him know what your viewpoints are on that. And however you do that, I know that I am doing that. So I can't just say that enough. Like, let them know, let City Hall know what your view is on that, because everybody's different. I know if you live along the 101 freeway in Vineland, 101 in Coldwater, you're going to have a different experience than if you live halfway up the hill to Mulholland, which is going to be different than if you live near Project Roomkey, which is different if you live near behind Sportsman's Lodge. So I respect all of those opinions. So, and there's no way that there is a way that we can all win and help people compassionately do it, no matter where we are on that spectrum, rather. So at this point, okay, we're going to move to item number 4. And so we have from LA Family Housing, we have Chris Freed. Thank you so much for being here. Chris Freed at LA Family Housing. She's actually the director of the Project Roomkey site at Sportsman's Lodge, where Ben Besley is one of the developers there. And just so you guys know, for SPA 2, LA Family Housing is the designated entity which assists us, okay? There are many other entities within North Hollywood, so on and so forth, but LA Family Housing is our authority in terms of unhoused homelessness. So Chris, take it away.
So, hi, everybody. Thank you for having me back again. So just to correct my title, I'm the Chief Program Officer for LA Family Housing. And to put it into context, we're the lead coordinated entry provider in addition to all the PRK stuff. But we oversee basically most of the service delivery dollars that come from LASA pass through us to subcontractors within within all of SPA 2. So going as far north as Agora or just past Agora, really into Westlake, and Glendale, and just before you get into Hollywood on that side. So we have a really large SPA. I think we're about 1,700 square miles. And so we help coordinate all the services kind of within that range. So with that said, we have Sportsman, which is within your guys's district, and it has been extended, I think, actually until February 12th. As a matter of fact, who was calling me right now was the city, probably to confirm the date. But it is February 12th, from my understanding. We are going to start doing the demobilization though now. And we've already been in process of that. And what that basically means is that we have a navigation team that's on site. We're fully hired up with that navigation team. There's 7 navigators. They're responsible for housing the people that are living at Sportsman. They're there every day. And they will be working one-on-one with people to make sure that we can get them placed into housing. We are still taking some level of intakes, but we will, as we get closer to December, we'll cut off all intakes from happening and just be working primarily on the exits, because we have about 250 to 270 people on any given night in that site. I just wanted to give a couple of other updates, just general updates. So Project Homekey, for those of you that are familiar with Project Homekey, that is the backup to Project Roomkey. That is the states working with localities to purchase the hotels, different hotels and or apartment units wherever owners were willing to sell. I believe there's one in CD2 that we just went and looked at today, that the Housing Authority will owns and that we will be operating, and that is set at 70 units of permanent supportive housing for single adults that will open somewhere between the end of March and the beginning of April. So while the timing is not exactly lined up from the closure of this PRK site, we have many different alternatives to work with folks so that they're not just lingering on the streets or up and down Ventura Boulevard. And then I know that there's also temporary trailers that are being brought into, I think it's North Hollywood Park at the end of February. So that will align with this. Some of the folks we will probably be working pretty closely with the council member's office to ensure a pretty cohesive placement from folks that we weren't able to place into permanent housing. I mean, really, the entire goal is to make sure that we're not just leaving people hanging around the Sportsman when the Sportsman closes. We have a whole host of other kinds of services happening in the area. Steve, you had mentioned the outreach teams. It is true that COVID is on the upswing right now, and I think that everyone kind of expected that with the winter months coming on and the colder it gets, the more we need to pay attention to people and symptoms and such. So I would, like I would say to my own family and everybody else, we need to remain safe out there and make sure that you're masked up and where necessary being gloved up. We've done quite a few housing placements from Sportsman. I think there's been 15 or 16 into permanent housing, but again, we're identifying 70 that will likely go into this new building that's opening up in March, and an additional group of folks that will be going into the trailer. So I think that's my 3-minute update.
Okay, thank you so much. And then with regard to Ben, is Ben on the call here? No? Maybe he's not. I don't see him in here. Okay, so Chris, we thank you for coming out. I know I booked you last minute, but we're probably would like to have you come back for a bigger town hall. And so so we could go offline and talk about that. So any word from Ben before we move on? Or? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Did you want me to give a little bit of an update for Ben? I don't know where Ben.
Yeah, if I don't know where you can.
I talked to Ben a little earlier today. I mean, the only thing I can speak about is with regard to Sportsman is the bid, the security, the extra security patrol, and that his team and the extra security officer that he has that is still part of the. I believe that the Sportsman's helped fund a position through the existing contract with the bid. And so we're working really closely with them to try to identify any potential people that are in the neighborhood that might potentially be causing some level of issue if they are participants of Project Roomkey, so that we're addressing any behavior that might impact anyone in the community. But I think we're trying to be really thoughtful and work as a team, a collective team, in addressing any potential challenges as it relates to the neighborhood as a whole. So I think that was his main thing, but I mean, that he and I spoke about earlier today. But I thought he was going to be here as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks once again, and feel free to stick around if you want, but if not, we'll definitely try to book you guys in the next month or two. Thank you. So moving on to item number 5 is a discussion and possible motion about the current existing augmented outreach teams that we've been doing for the past 4 weeks. And I just want to give a little bit of a precursor before I open it up to you guys, is that I know last week Adam and I went, Mitz, Rita, we've all been out there, and we are adhering to more than we're being more than safe, I believe. What we're doing is very passive. We're not actively engaging people. We're just kind of there as a presence, documenting names if they give it to us, giving them a hygiene kit, a soap, a water, whatever. And then we move on. It takes about an hour to do both locations. We're doing Coldwater and Vineland. And so, and it's completely voluntary. Like, I'm doing it, but I offered it to them. They wanted to do it as well. But that's your option, because there is COVID going on. But like I said, we are extremely safe. And it's just great because we have a really great team of people that, like Rita. This is what Rita does. When we were out there, Rita was actually able to build a rapport from a distance and identify symptoms and different things that she noticed that I didn't even notice. In my, I have training in that realm as well. And then Mitz, who is super passionate about this, was telling us about different gang and I was just, you learn a lot, but Mitz had knowledge about how people that the drugs are exchanged on certain parts of it. Not all of the unhoused are using drugs. We know that, but we did find some information about some things going on at certain areas, and I'll leave it at that. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the floor. Any stakeholder, please feel free to make a comment about our augmented outreach. And like, this is augmented. We're not trying to replace the care teams, or we're not trying to become contact outreach people, but we are doing our own passive effort. So stakeholders, feel free to chime in if you want to.
This is Andrew Silver again. If you're going to be doing that work, you should be coordinating with NoHo Home Alliance, because we are coordinating with LA Family Housing, and we are connecting people to resources. We have medical resources, we have drug treatment resources, we have, and through LA Family Housing, we provide people a pathway to housing. And my concern is that you could be disrupting the work that we are doing in conjunction with authorized service providers. And so if it's not appropriate for you guys to be out cowboying out there without connecting with the authorized providers. So I would ask that you contact NoHo Home Alliance and coordinate your efforts.
30 seconds. Okay,
Do you have a response to that? Are you going to, or are you rejecting that suggestion?
No, this is public comment, Andrew. Everyone gets a chance to share, and then at the end of it, once we can take in all stakeholder opinion and views, then we, at that point, we may comment. Are you done with your time?
Yes.
Scott, go ahead, buddy.
Hi, everybody. First of all, it is not up to Andrew Silver or NoHo Home Alliance as to what is appropriate. Nobody is cowboying. Second of all, Andrew, your comments were directed at me earlier, and I participated in the 2020 LAHSA homeless count. And if I want to participate in a homeless count on my own or in conjunction with everybody else, that's really not your concern, not your business, and is not subject to your approval or your involvement. I think the experts, and you can listen to what Judge Carter had to say, that the experts have been so wrong. If LAHSA fails, if the Homeless Services Authority fails, there's no reason for them to exist. They're so far behind, it's disgraceful. And that's the words of Judge Carter. So please don't lecture us on what to do. The problem is worse, and NoHo Home Alliance does not guide me. I hope it doesn't guide the council, and I hope it doesn't guide anybody other than those who are affiliated with NoHo Home Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Rose.
Hi. All I want to say really is that I'm getting kind of concerned here that the homeless population is being visited by a lot of different groups who are all well-meaning, but maybe working not exactly kind of in parallel with each other. And I'm just urging you all to kind of not be rivals, come together, because the job of everybody is to help and communicate with that population. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam. Adam, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just so really quickly, I think I appreciate, and everyone appreciates Andrew's intentions, but I think the job of our homelessness committee is really to like effectuate change in any level, on any level that we can. I think if we're trying to go out there and do right by the community, I think sorry, my kid is, Ryan, please stop. I think that's our primary impetus for being on the committee. I mean, it's frustrating over the course of the past, year that when Andrew was that we didn't do anything on the ground level. We didn't have any grassroots projects. And it's like, not all of us, Andrew, want to go to, high level meetings and figure out what the city's doing. Some of us just want to do good in our own communities, and that's okay. And instead of like picking apart the people that are doing that, let us do it. And then on top of that, you do the high level work to educate us on what's going on in City Hall, with our county's resources. But I think everything that we're doing with the best intentions is a great thing.
Okay, any other stakeholder or public comment on the augmented outreach that we're doing through December? Anybody else? Okay, at this point, we're going to move on to item number 6, which is discussion and possible motion surrounding the, I'm sorry, I want to go back towards the 5th item. One thing also too, I do want to just kind of piggyback on the last point that was made about what that team does. What we do is that we may consider maybe asking the board for funds to do like hygiene kits or something like that. Something low key, nothing major, maybe like a soap, a toothbrush that we can just passively hand to people. So if that comes up as a motion, you know, just as a reminder. Okay, so moving on to number 6 is the discussion possible motion regarding neighborhood cleanup of abandoned encampments. So this past weekend, I was with Adam at this location, and I believe there were 2. We met a man, Jeremiah, who told us that the 2 tents north of him on Vineland had been vacant for 2 weeks. So we are putting in calls to get those removed, because this guy's been there for over a month, and he says no one's living in these encampments. So Vineland, the two tents closest, I'm sorry, on the north side. I'm not explaining that well. So anyway, so I'm gonna leave it open to the floor for you guys, stakeholders, if you could pipe in about any type of neighborhood cleanup efforts we can do whatsoever. Take it away. Rose, go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything to say. I just forgot to take my
okay,
hand down from the last one.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll lower your hand for you.
All right, well, I'm going to take this opportunity to respond to Adam. First of all, Adam, it was my involvement with NoHo Home Alliance that is bringing authorized, trained outreach to
Excuse me,
Studio
point of
City.
order, Steve, we're dealing with agenda item number 6. We're not going back to commenting on other people's comments. Point of
Yeah, I'm going to actually concur with that. Point of order, Andrew. You had your time to, we're not replying at this point. We're actually on another item. So if you have a comment about neighborhood cleanups, please feel free. If not, I'm going to move on.
You should be directing those requests to the city council's office for care teams. And you should be monitoring where care teams are. They publish that every day.
Okay, so you're talking about cleanups, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Are you, I'm not sure if you're talking or if you're giving up your time.
No, I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, so again, we're on item number 6. So Scott has been, a lot of the community has been sending me pictures of the various abandoned areas. The areas have been trashed, left there. So at this point, like I said, we are taking stakeholder comment about efforts that we can do to clean up the neighborhood in any form. I mean, I know I sat in on a neighborhood homelessness Congress of the neighborhood council for the whole city. And one neighborhood had a thing to where on one Saturday, everybody would go out and find an area, and then they would call it in that day. Because if you don't know, the way that 211 works is it's kind of done on a data-driven way. So if there's an influx of a particular area, obviously they're going to be more likely to respond. So anyway, that was one idea one community had. They just did a concentrated effort to contact cleanup crews. So for you guys, if any stakeholders would like to chime in about any type of cleanup efforts that we could do. And I'm talking specifically with homelessness encampments.
Hi, I'd like to chime in. I sent you a couple photos. You can probably see my my Zoom photo. That is yesterday. behind the Studio City branch of Bank of America on our river walk. I'd say there are about 8 abandoned encampments. They've been abandoned for, I'd say, well over a month. And when I say abandoned, I mean, the tents are gone, the sleeping bags are gone, there were no people there, just piles and piles, probably tons of trash. That is such a failure of basic city, county, whoever's jurisdiction is the Riverwalk. There aren't people there. So I understand the activists are against camps being broken down for the purpose of cleaning, but these camps are abandoned and the trash cans are full and the Riverwalk is pretty much a mess. People homeless are throwing their trash onto these piles, and the piles of trash attract more trash. Some parts of the walkway are not walkable and it smells pretty bad. So if we or the city or the county or whoever is in charge can't clean up the abandoned camps, then I think it's pretty much a hopeless cause. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments about efforts to do a neighborhood cleanup of abandoned encampments for the area? Anybody? Okay, any of our members on the committee have anything? Rita or Mitz, do you have anything about
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Yeah, I think I'm 100% all for that. I think I'm in agreement and in concurrence with what was just said. I understand there's a lot of human issues that come from personal interaction with stakeholders who are homeless, who live in these. You know, it's a sanitation issue, and I think we should be able to go in there and pick up trash. I don't think there's any issue with that, and that's a huge, byproduct of homelessness in our community. So I would love if we made an effort to just do that. The products of these encampments is a lot of remnants and trash. So I'm 100% in. I think that would definitely be a positive look to the stakeholders.
Okay, and then as a committee, I just want to make sure that's within our purview. Is to I know other committees I don't want to duplicate efforts. So, but this, like I said, that's why if we frame it as a homelessness encampment cleanup of abandoned areas, I think we would get a lot of buy-in, because we're not trying to it's not a beautification effort. It's more of a cleanup effort. So,
if you don't mind, if I can make a comment,
yeah.
as previously as a stakeholder, there were a couple of spots under Vineland that I called a handful of times, both to Caltrans and 311. And a lot of the times the tickets were closed. And, I explained to them that the areas were abandoned or looked abandoned. And, they have their procedures on coming out, ensuring that they are abandoned, come back in a couple of weeks, et cetera, reach out to outreach programs to make sure if there's somebody there for cleanup, et cetera. But a lot of the times what I've been told is when they go there for cleanup and they've marked it as a cleanup area, they'll come with the crews. And then if even one homeless person comes and says that is their that is their stuff, they have to back off, that they cannot clean it up. So, we need to kind of have an idea, when is appropriate, when's not appropriate. But a lot of times they've closed my tickets out saying they were told that it is personal property, so they had to back off from cleaning or from disposing of what to most of us is trash. But, we can't make that assumption.
Okay. There's a phone. I don't see the phone number. Hold on one second. The person on the phone, you can go ahead and talk. I don't see your phone number though.
That might be me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it ends in 713. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's me. So a couple of things. One, I sort of wanted to respond to Adam about what I felt in doing this augmented outreach is that they're my neighbors. and I want to be a good neighbor. I know my immediate neighbors around me on my block. And so to drive by these people every day and see them and not know who they are, doesn't feel good to me. Like I need to be a good neighbor so they can learn to be a good neighbor. I heard somebody say passing out trash bags. I think that would be a really great thing along with our hygiene kits is to give them trash bags. Maybe part of the reason why we have so much trash is that there's nowhere to throw it away. So again, my being part of the committee and doing the augmented outreach is not to be a professional, but to be a good neighbor to everybody in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment about neighborhood cleanup efforts for abandoned encampments?
Hi, Steve. It's Randy.
Hey, Randy.
I can't raise my hand since when I sign on, I'm automatically co-host. So apologize. I would say, yeah. I mean, I think that we've done cleanup of trash before, and so whether it's simply on the street or specific to abandoned encampments, I think it's a great thing to do. The reality is that probably as already been mentioned before, aside from being unsightly, these are health concerns as well. Oftentimes these cleanups, even if it's just on the street, you'll find razor blades or used needles, broken glass, what have you. So I would just want to ensure that we have, and certainly we can get assistance from the council office in terms of making sure that we have gloves, we have, whether it's rakes, shovels, etc., to ensure that we have a way of scooping up some of these things without necessarily having to touch it. So I think that would just be my thing. As long as we're being mindful for people's safety, then it's a great idea. And certainly handing out trash bags. I think, the funny thing that was just not funny, but the sad thing that in relation to what was just said is relates, and forgive me, I haven't the pleasure of meeting you yet. The challenge, the city actually has in its city yards tons and tons of trash cans, actually. And oftentimes the excuse of why there aren't more trash cans along the street or, for example, under overpasses, and in some places there even are trash cans, they don't have the service. Either they say they can, the city will say they can't afford the trash bags, and or they'll say they can't afford to service and empty the trash cans. So I think trash bags is a great first step, but also if we can perhaps talk to the council office and see if they will, which I think is pretty minimum, at minimum pick up those trash bags, because otherwise if we give trash bags and people use them, the reality is that for others facing homelessness, they may decide to empty someone else's trash bag because there might be something there that's of use to them. So that would be my other 2 cents. As long as there's a way to pick it up, if we could arrange that in some way, I think that would be better served.
Thank you. Any other public comment on cleanup efforts? Okay. We're moving on to our last item for comment would be item 7, which is the stakeholder town hall education forum, awareness forum. Before I was appointed to this committee, sorry, one second. Before I was appointed here, I had produced a town hall educational forum. So they're really fun to do because a lot of our stakeholders, it gives them something to do, and there's a lot to do. Hearing their complaints, hearing their issues, that's obviously something that's why we're here. We're here to address those, and we're here to work with city council and elected officials to funnel efforts and money here. but there's so much more that our community can do, but they're not aware of it. And you know, whether they are pro-homeless, pro-compassionate solutions or not, at every point in between, there's things that they can do. So I'm all about action items. And so I was thinking that this might be something we could maybe produce probably within a month or two, as soon as, or maybe like early part of next year would be another town hall, but something that's very impactful that gives people, and like they leave the town hall with something to do per se, versus just complain. You know, a guy ran down the street, blah, 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 you know, because a lot of people are experiencing that. But what can we tell that person? Hey, call this number, call this person, you know, don't contact the person, those types of things. Because some people don't know. Some people, you know, like their education level is different when it comes to homelessness. Some people actually would want to confront somebody who's having a mental health crisis when the order may not be to do that. So anyway, leaving it open for stakeholder comment with regard to a town hall that we would produce within the next few months.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Ruth, your unhoused neighbor in Studio City. I had a contribution about the cleanup and about the education. Regarding the cleanup, I know that a lot of people are frustrated with the garbage is piling up, and I know that we've been on the news too. Like I think the river path has been on Streets of Shame, and it sucks walking down that path and then knowing that it used to look better. But I think that they failed to mention that there's people that have contracts to maintain it. I believe the village gardeners was the one that was supposed to maintain Coldwater to Fulton or something that was not mentioned in the news segment. And when you walk down that path, instead of thinking that, you know, this used to look better, if you think like, what would my house look like if I didn't have garbage pickup for like a year or more? You know, most people's houses would look like crap after that if there was nowhere to put their garbage and no one to take it. And COVID has made it worse with the trash pickups getting behind, because when a trash can is overfilled, which it often gets overfilled if there's people living near it, even if they're using the garbage cans, you know, they're going to get overfilled and they're going to overflow. The sanitation department doesn't want to pick up that garbage can because it's going to be a mess when they pick it up. It's going to go all over the street, and they're going to have to pick up little bits of stuff. And because of COVID, they don't even want to touch that stuff. So it's become a problem where they just leave that trash can there and they don't say anything about it. And neighbors get upset. And then what happens after that is that they do a 311 complaint, and then an empty garbage truck comes to the encampment and just loads the whole encampment into it. Sometimes the whole trash can
There's 30
is
seconds. And again, point of order, we're talking right now about educational awareness for the public, the community of Studio City. So
I had my hand raised during the last comment period, but I wasn't able to speak. I don't know what happened.
Okay. I'm going to give you one more minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so when the trash cans get over full, and then they decide that it's just easier to take the whole trash can, and sometimes they don't even do that when there's not room in the truck after they put the whole encampment into it. You know, people want to like have a clean house, and no one likes living in garbage, like no one. And I think that the trash bag idea like is actually a good one. Like I think that would help. But like figuring out who was supposed to empty that trash can, like if it was the village gardeners or the Santa Monica Mountains people or Parks and Rec, before like you come into somebody's house and clean it for them, like is probably a more constructive way to do things. Like now the ones in public, I think, that would be great to like introduce yourself and give them trash bags, but then making sure they get picked up is another thing.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you so much. So at this point, we're going to move on to item number 8. And
Okay.
I got my hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I had my hand up as well.
Okay. Hold on one second here. Scott, you had your hand up, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, in responding directly to agenda item 7 about educational awareness, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think it would be great if you can explain to the stakeholders what Martin versus Boise actually means. If you can explain to the stakeholders some of the rulings and what Judge Carter is trying to do to date on what happened with the H measures and, or excuse me, what hasn't happened. Bring people to date on the Prop 63 complete and utter failure. $1 billion that LA County had for mental health services just at the beginning of this year, not knowing what to do with it. Also, in addition to Prop 63, there was a additional bond, No Place Like Home. And bring us up to date, bring the stakeholders up to date on how much money has been spent, what has been established as far as what the so-called homelessness industrial complex, and what little has actually been accomplished, and bring us also up to date on the now push for shelters rather than affordable housing for everybody and safe parking spots, as Judge Carter is trying to force the city, county of LA to do. I think it's a great idea, Steve, and I support it 100%. Thank you.
Kira, you had your hand up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Yes, thank you. If you said Rita, I'm not sure, I didn't quite hear. I think she gave us a perfect example of what the community and the public doesn't understand. And I wasn't at your last forum, so I apologize, but definitely everything that Scott just brought up. The police will tell you constantly what they cannot and are not allowed to do. The city attorney will tell you constantly what they cannot and are not allowed to do. The Department of Sanitation will go, oh, that's not us, that's Caltrans. We don't clean that up. We're not allowed to do that. So I guess what I'm leaning towards is more about what Scott was saying than the idea of telling someone who to call. Because if you tell someone who to call and then nothing happens, then I feel like that fosters more anger. But if people are actually willing to take the time to come to a forum to really understand all the issues, then I would definitely support that. And I'm not sure if that would be any different than the last forum that you had, but I'm sure Andrew could probably, or I think Randy was at that as well. So maybe they could fill you in. But that's really what's missing. You know, people see trash and they go, why isn't that cleaned up? But, and I would like to say also, thank you. When I was homeless, I carried everything in waterproof trash bags. And you're right, people don't pass those out. So that is a fantastic idea. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Kira.
I had my hand up. I
Go
just
ahead, Andrew.
wanted to comment that this committee produced 2 forums, one in March this year, and then when Randy decided to basically disband this committee and start anew, we continued with the forum that we were already planning, which was done in September. And we had several experts on homelessness advise the community on what is being done and what the legal issues are in addressing homelessness. And we had several of the major homeless service organizations at both of those forums so that people could connect with those providers and learn what they could do in the community. So the forums have already been done. We did it in March and September.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment about any type of forums?
Steve, real quick, I just want to make a clarification.
Yes.
It wasn't me that talked about, who so eloquently talked about the city walk and being unhoused there. I think her name was Ruth, who is one of our unhoused neighbors. So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, thank you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yeah, that was me. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to talk about the educational forum. I think that it would be really good to have like somebody who was homeless talking about things like that. I mean, like, I don't think it's fair to have a meeting about homelessness without any homeless people. Or, like, I was gonna go to the thing in March, and then I saw that it was on valleyredspace.com, where like people like to make violent plots against us and stuff. And I was really glad I didn't attend. It was right at the beginning of COVID, and like I was worried about vigilant action like from those people. They need to be welcoming spaces, or you know, if there's Zoom meetings, they're not that accessible to homeless people, but they should definitely be well-rounded conversations. And I think that they should include points to landlords about accepting people with Section 8 vouchers as their tenants instead of listing on Airbnb, because that would directly reduce homelessness in their neighborhoods. They would literally get tents off the streets and into houses, probably permanently. So that would be my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, and thank you, stakeholders, community, for your comments. We hope to meet on our next meeting to have some action items for you guys based on what's been given today. So item number 8 would be comments from our board members. So Adam, anything, Mitz, any Rita, anything you guys wanted to close this out with?
So what, I'm sorry, I'm just not on my agenda right now. When are we gonna go over the motion for raising a little bit of money?
Well, I mean, that's what that's what I was queuing for. I thought that would be done during the item 5 for that portion.
I mean, I guess we can push it back a month. I definitely think we should do it next month though.
Okay. I thought you were gonna make it. I thought you changed your mind because
No, I just wanted to see how Randy would word it, but I'll talk to you and I'll talk to Randy and come up with the motion offline, and then we'll just pitch it next month.
Okay, and we'll have it more vetted out to present next month.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's do that.
Okay, thank you, buddy. Rita, anything?
No, I'm happy to be part of this committee, and I'm happy to see it being solution focused, because that's what's going to help everybody in the neighborhood, in the surrounding areas. And I'm glad to have Ruth as part of this committee. And I agree, you can't have meetings and talks without the homeless being present. Because then we're just solving a problem, we're not working together, and it's not even solving a problem in a constructive way. So I was glad to hear from Ruth, and I thank you, Ruth, for your input.
And by the way, this goes out to all of our stakeholders. We're still looking for a couple of more people for our committee. And so Ruth, Kira, if you guys are interested, please email me, and then we can talk offline about ideas you have, or, you know, and I want to kind of steer you guys to what the direction that we're going. Just putting it out there, we're actually looking to bring on a couple more members, because my thing is, like with our committee, to make it diverse. We want homeowners, apartment renters, people that live near areas of encampments, people who don't, young, you know, different age ranges, different mindsets. Like some people, you know, wherever you are on that spectrum of how you feel about it. I think if we can collaborate, we can better address the community. What the community needs. Okay, so Mitz, do you have anything?
Pretty much what you just said. You know, I joined the committee because, you know, I wanted to see a good handshake between what stakeholders want, what residents want, what we can do, you know, for the homeless or the unhoused, and see how to, you know, just pretty much all exist together, and everyone, you know, smile at the end of the day. You know, while keeping safety, keeping cleanliness, everything, you know, at you know, in discussion, but having a positive discussion about it, not pointing fingers, you know, having everybody work together to make sure that, you know, hey, we see an area that seems to be a problem. You know, is it a problem that needs cleanup? Is it a problem that needs support? You know, do we reach out to the different groups out there that can support them, you know, and really just getting an understanding and a collaboration of everybody together. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that are angry about areas. There's a lot of people that don't care about the areas. There's, you know, there's the unhoused that are saying, you know, they may get attacked or people look down upon them. Again, I joined to make sure that we all have a voice and we all can kind of clean up this, you know, our area, our Studio City, and make it a nice area for everybody that's here. We, you know, you can't solve everything with one fell swoop, but, you know, really, if we all work together, I think there can be a happy medium that we can all reach and get services, you know, cleanup services, support services, housing services, things like that, and just really have an idea of how to move forward, you know, collaboratively all together and without, you know, arguing or what have you. But that's just my thought.
Thank you. And I'll just take us out, wrap it up here. And like I said, if you guys, I really encourage you guys to jump on the call at 7 with Nazarian, the assembly member. But I just wanted to say that, like, you know, homelessness, it's such a multifaceted issue. It's super complex, probably won't be solved in one day. So yeah, I think as a community, we need to execute patience. And I'm so proud of the people that are with us right now on this committee. And I'm really appreciative of the stakeholders. Everybody today has provided tremendous value to the discussion moving forward. And you know, even if you were shut off your time, we're taking notes, and we are going to incorporate. And you guys will, if you stick around for next meeting, for next month, we're going to try to incorporate a lot of the things that we talked about. And I just want to say one last thing with regard to homelessness. You know, I was reading an article, well, two things. I'm a veteran, I'm a military veteran. And so I do work at the VA occasionally. I'll go out there. I was there 2 weeks ago, and right along Brentwood, you know, Brentwood borders the VA. There was literally 30 tents along San Vicente. And these are like $3, $4, $5 million homes. So, you know, I say that to express the fact that homelessness, everybody's dealing with it. I think we have to have the sense of mind to know that Studio City is not unique. It's unique in the fact that it's increased quite a bit, you know, over last year, but in COVID, but it's not unique in the fact that we deal with it. So the whole city and county, there's nowhere that homelessness and unhoused issue, unaffordability has impacted it. So we just have to be patient and understand that. And the last thing I wanted to say, I was reading an article about, you know, Chris kind of touched on the fact that her LA Family Housing takes properties and converts them into housing for the unhoused. And so a lot of times people are like, well, I want these people to go. Why don't we take these people and put them over here, or send them out to the Palmdale, or to, you know, and I think that's we've got to be bigger than that. You know, we have to really look at and say, hey, if the apartment building 2 blocks from me is donated to the city and the city will refurbish it, how do I feel about that? Am I okay with an unhoused building, you know, being in this area? I didn't sign up for this. When I moved here, I paid 1.8 for my house, but now 2 blocks away, the owner has converted it to that. So I think we need to kind of like get ready for those types of conversations, because those are some solutions. And I don't think it's fair to say, move people out. Why don't they go out there? You know, we have to be ready to say, okay, maybe we could have, you know, opportunities for them here, or if not here, nearby. So I'm rambling on. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and the time is now.
What is the Nazarian meeting? I haven't heard about that.
I'm sorry, that's going to be the Studio City Residents Association. Are you a part of that?
I've never heard of it, so I don't think so.
Okay. So
Is there a Zoom number for it?
Yeah. You have to be a part of it. I think it costs like $20 to join, and then they'll link it. They'll send you a link.
Oh.
So, but anyway, somehow they get a lot of elected officials to come and talk. I don't know how, but so it might be a money issue. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.